Going in 10. 3, 2, 1, go.
What's up, guys? Message of the week this week is you cannot outwork a shitty diet. Today I have Garrett, Trish, and Justin with me to discuss this.
Charlie.
And Charlie over there. And we are going to talk about, we're going to start with your briefs. Just real quickly, how would you brief this in a class? Let's start with Garrett.
Usually in my classes we're talking about making sure that you're getting in the correct food to work on your training profile, right? So like you are what you eat, and making sure that you are supporting your activities in here, right? We get you for an hour a day, but you have 23 hours outside of here to make good foundational decisions about what you eat, and trying to make sure that that's supporting your activities in here. Kind deal.
Great.
Just to add to what Garrett said, you are what you eat. You're gonna feel like whatever you're eating, and you're gonna feel what you're eating on any given time of the day, but especially during your workouts. I find that if you're eating like high dense or high caloric density foods, or fast
This is what you
food.
say in your brief.
No.
That's what the question.
I don't know.
Keep going, Trish. Don't let him interrupt you.
But I guess what I'm saying is you're gonna feel what you're eating, and so if that's bad food, you're gonna feel bad. If it's good food, you're gonna feel good. That's usually what I say in my briefs.
Okay, Justin.
I like to say in the message, cannot outwork a shitty diet. I would be remiss if I didn't explain that this exact quote comes from the whiteboard in the first CrossFit gym that I went to. And I usually like to share when I was a young buck in my early 20s starting CrossFit. I remember rowing and looking at cannot outwork a shitty diet. And I remember telling myself, I can. I'll drink my ass off on the weekends and come in here and still be awesome at CrossFit someday. So I like to share where it came from. I also just like to explain that it's true, regardless of whether you want to accept it or not, that it'll catch up to you one way or another.
We are going to start with the point that Garrett came up with is you are what you eat. That's quite literally, right? So we're going to talk about, I want to talk about this and how the food that we eat is part of our metabolic system and it turns into energy. So can anyone give a little bit more on you are what you eat?
I'm going to start by, this is kind of crass, but Greg, the founder of CrossFit, used to say, I don't need to ask somebody how they eat. I can tell by looking at them. And so it's like you're like what you eat will present itself. Um, Obviously, you can build strength and capacity outside of those factors. Um, but somebody who has excess body fat, looks out of shape, like doesn't have a perfect clean diet, right? So it's like I think that the reality is that's one reason you can't outwork it is that it'll get caught up what visually, aesthetically, and then I think a lot of us want to build muscle, look good. So if you're strong and muscly, you're probably eating a sufficient amount of protein. Um, if you're soft and whatnot, well, protein also helps you burn fat. So I think that that's kind of the primary target for most of us is getting enough protein. But yeah, I think you are what you eat. You're going to look it, you're going to feel it. And you can be, I think some people have a harder time with body composition based on genetics and whatnot. But I think generally speaking, you can tell by looking at somebody how dialed or not dialed their nutrition might be.
I'd also add that depending on how people are feeling, not only like their energy, but also like, do they constantly have an upset stomach? Do they have low energy? Do they have good energy? And that has a big part of what you're eating nutritionally. I think especially with your gut health, if you're eating high processed foods, and I would throw like synthetic proteins in there. Like if you're getting most of your protein from a synthetic source, like you're probably not going to feel very good. Or if you're eating a high carb um meal or food, your energies might be really high and low, and it's not, and you might be having a crash where you might have good energy, but then your energy's crashing because you're mostly eating carbohydrates and not including the other macronutrients, which are protein and fats.
Just to touch on Justin, and this is actually a quote from Trish. She said to me once, "It's abs are made in the gym, but they're shown in the kitchen." I remember you said that, and I was like, that's so true, right? It's one of those things. It's like Justin is saying, like you can kind of, if you wanted to look at just body composition, right? If you're not eating right, you're probably not feeling right. You're probably not looking the way you want to. And then you look at, if you want to get more scientific on it, right? Your metabolic system, it's your ability to turn the food that you eat into the energy that you need, right? So if you're eating really crappy fuel, you're not going to get the energy that you really want there and lasting energy, right? And I noticed that even now that I've moved from like my 20s into my 30s and getting close to my 40s now, it's like I I really start to feel like absolute shit when I'm eating, like drinking a lot of beer, eating a lot of chips and fast food. Like, yeah, it's fun. It makes me feel good when I eat it, but afterwards I'm like, oh, so bad, so bad. So it's true. Like if you're not eating the correct food or even the correct quantities and things like that, like you can get really nerdy with it, right? You want to get into like how many macros do I need and all that stuff. Or it's just like, hey, eat a balanced meal, within your own abilities, right? People have hereditary issues. They can't eat gluten or they can't eat nuts and things like that. But in general, like as humans, we need a certain amount of certain nutrients to work. And if you're not giving your body that, and if you've starved your body with that for a very long period of time, trying to reverse that process is difficult. It's hard to utilize both sides of your metabolic system, right? The carbohydrate side and the fat side, right? Those are kind of your two main, I would say, your two main energy sources there. So trying to get that balance, it's tough, especially if you're overloading on one versus the other, right? If you're in ketosis versus being able to process carbs and things like that. So it's very important. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that's why it's number two on our list, right? Nutrition, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And really number one for CrossFit. We're just ahead of the game.
Yeah, I mean,
Consistency piece.
yeah.
Just good.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, it's like if you're not consistent, right? If you don't have the habitual pattern, that's where it's, if I'm going to diet for 30 days, woo, I need to diet for 30 years,
Right.
right? That's where that foundation comes in. So,
Yeah,
um,
absolutely. One thing I remember very early on in my nutrition and fitness journey that actually probably Justin said to me is I remember being like, oh, I just like have when I do these things, I feel like crap now. Like when I used to eat cookies, it didn't really affect me. And now when I eat cookies, I feel like crap. And he was like, well, what you don't realize is you're starting to feel this like clarity. You're finally knowing what it feels to feel good. And so many people don't know what it feels like to feel good.
mhm.
Right. And so now when you feel bad, it's like heightened. You can kind of like really tell when you're feeling bad. And that has always stuck with me for like, I mean, throughout this whole entire journey is like, I can really tell now when I feel bad, and I can really tell when I feel good too.
Yeah, just to add to that, I feel like when people are learning with their nutrition, it's like you could, and especially at a younger age, it's like you can get away with eating crappy food where it's just like maybe your breakfast is cereal and then you're having late night snacks with popcorn and chips and not really eating protein. It's just like that's just what I eat. Until they start eating better foods, I feel like that's the realization of like, oh, this is like what good feels like. And then when they do have more processed foods or junk, it's just like that's probably going to make people feel kind of sick. And that's, I feel like that's part of my journey is when I've cut foods out and then added them back in, it's just like that doesn't make me feel good. So it's my motivation not to have certain things, or at least know that I have to limit certain amount of things, because I know if I have too much of one thing, probably not going to feel very good afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. And that kind of like goes on to like, which we can get into later, but like nutrition is different for everyone and it's like a science experiment.
Mhm.
Like I always tell my nutrition clients, like nutrition never ends.
Mhm.
This one-on-one that we're talking about nutrition may end, but I want to get you to a place where you're able to consistently do what we've been talking about throughout. But we're going to figure out through a little science experiment what works for you,
Yeah.
right? And we're going to try to stick with that.
One thing that I want to
go
add
to
to
it.
her
Yes,
is like
please.
when I started like really focusing on my nutrition, I was doing that eat to perform, right? I was amazed like when you're actually eating clean food, how much food you can actually eat.
Mhm.
Like try to get heavy eating fruits and vegetables. Like it's not easy.
Right.
It's almost like uncomfortable, right? And I started out as a hard gainer, right? It was really hard for me to put on mass, build muscle. Now I've kind of flipped it. Now it's like, ooh, I gotta watch a little bit. But it's like if you're eating clean, like good, consistent food, it's like you can almost eat as much as you want. It's almost like, oh my god, like it's hard to
Yeah.
like you get satiated pretty quickly or full feeling very quickly, and it's like, oh, but I still have to eat all this to try to hit my goal. It's like, oh
Yeah.
man, I'm like, well,
That kind of goes into like quality versus quantity.
Yeah.
I do think both are important. I think you need both. But I remember early on in my nutrition journey is I was like, it is actually so much more important for me as an individual to eat more because
Mhm.
I enjoy eating a lot. I enjoy the act of eating. I enjoy that. So in order for me to be able to do that, I got to eat pretty clean.
Mhm.
And like that actually was a really healthy mindset shift for me because I'm like, okay, well, I'm not going to eat pizza because I know I'm going to want to eat a bigger dinner tonight. So that was something that was really helpful.
Yeah, if you
learning
don't
about myself.
understand satiation or what we're kind of talking about here, I think the best way to describe it, this is like my favorite analogy, is like foods like Oreos and chips and stuff don't have breaks. So like you could, okay, I'm gonna start with 5 Oreos, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna go back for a couple more, and a couple more. It's like no one in the history of life has like cracked 3 eggs, and then like I think I need 3 more. And then all of a sudden, like gone through
It's a good point.
a dozen eggs and like ran to the grocery store because they need more eggs, right? Like that's eggs have nutrition and protein and fats that satiate your body, that satisfy your body. There are plenty of foods that don't have breaks on them.
Yeah, that's a good point. So this is what I want to talk about next is a different way to look at nutrition. So in here, we train things. We train the snatch. We train gymnastics movements. We train our metabolic conditioning. We train all those things. How can we take that training mindset and use that into nutrition and we train our nutrition?
I guess I think of training and practicing. So it's just like the amount of times that you have to choose to eat throughout the day, it's like you have many different opportunities, right? And so it's just like you don't have to do it every single meal, but practicing and training each of those meals. And I guess I talk about each meal because it's like if you start your day off with cookies, you have another opportunity to make a better decision for your snack or your lunch or whatever that might be. I think it's pretty common for people to be like, "Well, I had cookies for breakfast, but the rest of my day it doesn't really matter. I already messed up." So I think taking the opportunity for every time that you're eating to make a health conscious decision. It might be perfect, it might not be. You might still be having pizza, but if you can add a side salad, like that's a win. Even better one is like having a pizza, a side salad with some chicken on it. And so it's just like trying to practice little things. And I think when it comes to nutrition, adding things in versus saying, I'm not going to have any more ice cream at night. It's just like, well, let's maybe practice having a pretty solid protein source for dinner. And then if I'm full enough from dinner, I don't need ice cream because the chances are, if you're always going towards ice cream for dinner or after dinner, it might be because you didn't get enough nutrition or nutrients in your dinner or your meal. So you feel like you need something more.
Yeah.
So each meal you get to practice.
I really liked how you said this, and it kind of reminded me of this weekend. We had bowling, right? And how many pins are there? 12?
10.
10? Okay, so Flynn threw a gutter ball, right? And then she was like, it's all right, I got 10 more opportunities. I got 10 opportunities. And I was like, and after you said that, I'm like, that's kind of interesting because, like, throughout the day, we have so many
I
opportunities.
think statistically it's like 120 food food decisions you make every day. Like
Right.
it's actually staggering amount
Yeah.
of how many like
I've heard a higher number, but yeah,
Yeah,
like,
it's a
it's a lot. It's way more
Should I
than
put cream in my coffee. Should I put sugar in?
yeah.
Right.
Should I have coffee or should I have water?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So
So
I
yeah,
think this is
it's
cool.
so you have so many opportunities every day to train and practice and hit the mark. The gray area is like, oh well, missed it on my breakfast. I'll the next opportunity I'll get it, and then that next opportunity comes, and you just like kind of push it off. So the gray area is like you gotta still try to have that discipline to like, okay, breakfast maybe wasn't a hit. I'm gonna hit my lunch really well or something like that. But I loved how you like mentioned like you have so many opportunities to train it
in your day
and
for sure.
practice it.
I would say like so you if you want to like mirror it into the gym, right? So when somebody new comes into the gym, we're not loading up a 135-pound barbell and asking them to snatch it, right? We are starting with a med ball or a barbell, right? Something light. Same thing with your nutrition, and Trish already kind of touched on it. Is start small, make small adjustments, and continue those adjustments over the time period and stay consistent with that until it becomes natural, becomes repeatable. It's like I think it's 90 days to make a habit, right? It's like 30 days to get it started, 60 days to keep it going, and 90 days to make it a habit, right? So, yeah. So it's like, say you drink 6 sodas in a day, cut it down to 5, cut it down to 4. Like small changes like that over the course of a year, 2 years, 3 years, it'll start really making big changes in your life,
Yeah.
right? Like trying to like completely change your life overnight like that with nutrition is setting yourself up for failure because it's becoming like, too hard to get to maintain. You haven't set those habits in. So start small. You don't have to change it overnight. So and also find maybe some help too.
Yeah.
That just kind of reminds me of a lot of the times when I've been working or when I've worked with new people. A few questions that I usually ask is how often are you eating out? And how many fruits and vegetables are you getting? And so it's just like not because we don't want to just start like saying, I want you to follow these macronutrients. We're going to cut all X, Y, and Z because that can be overwhelming. So I think that eating out is a big one for people because it's convenient. You're going to turn to convenience. So one, if you can cut back eating out and prep more things for yourself, you're going to be better off. And so trying to pick and choose. So if someone's eating out 2 times a day, like trying to limit that to 1 time a day, or like I had said earlier, adding in more fruits and vegetables versus cutting something out can always be a little bit more helpful.
And I'd say to that, like try to meet yourself where you're at now, right? So like if you're typically somebody who hates cooking, try to find a way to maximize that cooking experience, right? Meal prepping is super good, but not it's not for everybody. Like if you love to cook, okay, make a meal plan at the beginning of the week and say, hey, I'm gonna eat this for lunch, this for dinner, and then try to find those things in there, right? Like try to find activities that fit your lifestyle, and then it'll make you set you up for success, right? It's that I would say that's probably the harder thing for most people to do is trying to find that pathway to try to make that pattern happen type deal. So
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's I like that you said that because a lot of people are like, well, I don't have the money, I don't have the time, I don't have the willpower to eat healthy, but it's like there's so many different ways to do it. It does not have to be a macro counting meal prepping like ordeal, right? There's a lot of different ways to do it. Meeting yourself where you're at is really important. There was like this guy on Instagram who's like, how to eat healthy when you hate cooking, and he like has a bag of frozen vegetables and already cooked meat. And like this thing, he just has to pop in and he's like, and I just heat this up. I put this on the stove real quick. It's done in 10 minutes. Like, I'm like, oh, that's a good perspective because that's probably more where people are at on the spectrum than being like, oh yeah, I've got time to meal prep and count macros and all those things.
Well, and even to add, it's just like eating out. There's definitely healthier options to eat out. And I think that one of the things that I've talked with people is there's always a good option, there's always a better option, and there's always your best option. So it's like if you're going to Wendy's and that's the only option.
Never let it rest. Take good things better. You better get the best. Bear down, baby.
All right, so.
Good here. I can. Good.
And so it's like if your only option is Wendy's, it's like, okay, what's a good option there? It's like, okay, I'm gonna do
the worst option.
at Wendy's, sure.
the Baconator.
Bacon, but we're gonna go extra large soda, cheese and bacon on the fries, and a frosty.
So that's our baseline. If we're
Mhm.
gonna make a good option, just get the sandwich and no French fries and no drink. Even consider getting a second sandwich over getting like your French fries and a drink, right? Your better option is if you're looking to do something a little bit more lean, like you could do a grilled chicken sandwich instead. And your best option is you could do a lettuce wrap, you could do a water, and I think most fast food places might have like why can't I think like carrots or like apples or something like that. So it's just like every restaurant might be a
A
little
lot of them have
different.
salads too. You have salads an option. You throw some
Only
chicken
for
on
the
it.
kids though.
You can still order it.
Yeah.
So it's just like looking at every every time that you're eating, it's just like, okay, what's a good option? What's a better option? What's my best option for the decision that I need to make?
I also think this is something that like needs to be trained, and what that skill is like being honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Like again, early on in my nutrition journey, I remember we went to the games. I guess it wasn't that early on, but we went to the games, and I remember I would have been like, "Oh, I'm gonna get sweet potato fries because it's like the better option." And I remember we got home from the games, and Justin had like a serious conversation with me. He's like, you need to be honest with yourself because like you know that that's not the better option, and like I kind of saw you kind of like eat that eat the way that doesn't align towards your goals this weekend.
To
And
be fair, I was nutrition coaching her at the time.
yeah, he was.
Or
It
just
wasn't unsolicited.
Unsolicited.
I'm not sure you want a prize.
Yeah, but it was just like he was just had like a really honest conversation with me, and I was like, it was good for me because now then I was able to be like, you're right. Like I do need to be honest with myself in those moments. So that's like another thing that needs to be trained is like being honest with yourself, and it can be really hard sometimes.
Yeah. That just kind of reminds me, I feel like it's different when someone is one holding you accountable or two around you. So it's like a spouse or a partner sees what you're eating, or if you have a nutrition coach. But if I feel like sometimes the most challenging time is when you're all by yourself and it's just like no one needs to know. Like it's like I don't have to tell Justin that I did X, Y, and Z because he's not here to see what I'm doing or whatever. That not to say that there's something happening, but it's I feel like having that.
When I eat
She's
the queso.
It's when Justin tries to have his queso while I'm putting Charlie down, and I
When she
get
comes up
late.
fast, I'm like, "Ah, I'm not done with my queso. You're not supposed to be up here yet."
So I think that, and maybe that's part of like being self-disciplined too. It's just like even though no one's watching, like still having the awareness or making health conscious decisions when it's just you.
Yeah,
I think
absolutely.
is hard, but I think that that's something too that most people need to consider doing.
And I think the main part about training your nutrition and your healthy eating habits is it takes a really, really long time to get comfortable with it. Like, I feel like I started my nutrition journey at 19. I'm 26, and I'm just barely feeling confident with my nutrition choices. Like, I feel confident that I don't have to think about what I eat all day because I have a routine. I know what I like. I know what's good for me. And it took me 8 years to get to this point.
Yeah.
Right. And a lot of ups and downs. So, like, the biggest thing is staying consistent with it and continue training it over and over and over and over again until you can find that confidence and those types of things.
I'd say the other thing we haven't really touched on is the social aspect of it. It's like when you have, obviously we have a bit, we all have big community here, but when you leave this gym and you're with your social friends that are outside of this community, and they're like oh, everybody I ski with and things like that. It's like, oh, let's go get a burger and 6 beers and blah blah and all that. I'm just like, sometimes it's kind of tough to be like, nah, I'm good. I'm gonna go home. Like, you kind of get a little bit of that FOMO type deal. So it's like that aspect of things can make it very tough. It's a little bit isolating where it's like, no, I want to eat at home. I want to eat a good meal. You know, it's kind of tough to say no to those things sometimes. So
Yeah. And building off of that, once you can get into a position where you like are feeling pretty comfortable and confident, and then 80% of the time, 90% of the time that you can control your eating healthy, you feel less bad about having moments like that.
Yep.
And being like, okay, maybe my friends are having 6 beers, I'm gonna have one and I'm gonna have a burger, and then I'm gonna go about my day, and my next nutrition opportunity is gonna be a good one. Right? Like it makes you feel a little bit less stressed about your eating decisions because you're confident in them.
yeah.
think the two things I haven't been able to speak to the training thing, but you said consistency, and I think the consistency comes down to. You love when I talk. Uh, just consistently trying
Absolutely.
and having something, having some target, even if it's just eat protein for breakfast, drink my water. The other thing that I'll say is I feel like my favorite analogy that I've come up with as you guys are talking is we talked about it a little bit is just being comfortable, being uncomfortable, and the best analogy is the hook grip. And it's like when we first ask people to hook grip, do you want to say anything into the microphone? Uh, it's really uncomfortable, and so is nutrition. So it's like, but once you hook grip and you like find the rhythm with the hook grip, you like you can't grab a bar without hook gripping. So I just feel like that's the
Really
best.
dry without the hook grip.
Yeah, it's like the best analogy when it comes to nutrition. It's like initially it's hard and it's uncomfortable, especially in a social setting. But like once you get used to it, you get used to saying no. You get used to your discipline, your rules, your routine. It's a little easier.
Yeah.
Okay, me and Chuck are gonna go.
Okay. One thing that we hear all the time, or at least that I've seen, is, oh yeah, I got my workout in today, so I get to have pizza for dinner because I worked hard already today. So how is that wrong? And why is it important for our diet to support our lifestyle?
I would say, I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say it's wrong. It's probably not the best activity,
okay.
right? So it's like, hey, if that is like your motivation to be like, I'm gonna come to the gym so I can eat a little bit unhealthy on a Friday, like you showed up, you gave me some work, indulge a little bit, right? Now, if you're just doing that every night, no, then you're doing nothing, right? You're not moving the needle anywhere. So, but to that point, you just came in here and you overstressed your system, right? If like today's workout, I was like, oh, I was blown out. It was rough, but at the end of the day, it's like you still need that nutrition to help your recovery, right? It's very important to your building blocks. Like if you're trying to build muscle, you're trying to repair your muscles and things like that. You need that fuel to maintain yourself throughout the day. Like if you worked out in the morning and you eat something crappy right away, and after that, it's like you're gonna crash hard later, right? You need to get your body back in shape. And I'm sure you guys have felt it even after like when you hit a really hard like competition, right after one of the events, you might feel that sickness, that lowness right after. It's like you gotta get some food in. So it's yeah, it's tough.
I mean, I guess my first thought is like what your relationship is with food and what your relationship is with fitness. Like, I feel like if you are only working out so you can have pizza, like, there's some misalignment of why you're exercising. And so it's just like obviously they go hand in hand, but I think trying to build on why people are training and why they choose to do the fitness that they do. Um, and trying to find ways that can support their body because like Garrett said, you're kind of taking a step back. And with my nutrition early on, I feel like it was pretty common for me and maybe for a lot of people out there where Monday through Thursday I was so good on my nutrition, but then when the weekend rolled around, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would stop tracking, I would eat out more, I would be drinking. So then by the time Monday rolled around, I didn't feel very good. And I felt like I was kind of getting trying to dig myself out of the hole, right? So it's just like I was making all this progress Monday through Thursday, but then taking all these steps back over the weekend. And then finally I just was over trying to like build towards that and take steps forward where it's just like weekends are going to start to add up, especially if I'm wanting to continue to see progress. So I need to adjust my weekends. My weekends weren't perfect, but they weren't nearly as bad as they were prior. So I think trying to build that relationship, knowing that nutrition is just going to make you feel better in the gym, and maybe trying to figure out why you're coming to the gym in the first place can be kind of the building blocks you need to not focus on earning your dinner or
Right.
whatever that might be.
Yeah, I love that how you said it's a lot about like your why. And like maybe okay, maybe your why is you're like I want to go to the gym so I can eat ice cream. And maybe at first, at least that's getting you in the gym. And then hopefully later on throughout that journey, it's like, oh, I'm actually really enjoying the gym. I kind of actually want to get stronger. Like, then, okay, what can we do? How can my nutrition align? Because if we're continuing not having our nutrition and fitness goals align with our why, then yeah, we're taking 2 steps forward and 5 steps backwards, right? And it's tends to be a lot longer of a journey.
And I would say if you are coming into our CrossFit setting and truly hitting our stimulus 3 to 5 days a week, it's not going to be sustainable to just eat like total trash. I think eventually it's going to drop and you're going to be like, man, I feel awful because you are depleting yourself all week and then you're just not giving yourself what you need at the end. I think it'll eventually catch up to you regardless. Like you're not going to be able to outwork a shitty diet. Like it eventually will, it'll catch up with you.
For sure.
So whether you want it or not, but
I think the CrossFit style of training, if you're not trying to align your lifestyle, it will become frustrating because we track everything. Like if we were just in here arbitrarily like lifting and like doing some stuff here and there, not really timing stuff, like it will impede your progress as a CrossFitter, regardless of what your goal is. But like you're gonna track it, you're gonna see it. You're like, if you stick around long enough, it doesn't matter if you want to get better or not, you'll be told through the app, through our board, like that you're either getting better, you're maintaining, or you're getting worse. And if your lifestyle is not dialed in, then you're gonna be like, well, I'm putting in this effort, I'm waking up with the crack acid on and crushing myself in the gym. So it's like you're making a sacrifice to train hard. It's really beneficial for you to make a sacrifice outside of the gym. And I think the other thing that goes with like a reward when it comes to nutrition is just the same way like Garrett said, we're going to ease into it. You're not going to come in here and we're going to be squat snatching and doing ring muscle ups on day one. It's like you're not going to day one of your nutrition journey just be perfectly dialed in and appreciate a tiny little like pretzel snack and a liquid death, right? Like if you're used to brownies and ice cream every night, like you got to train yourself, and you can train yourself to rethink what a reward is. It doesn't have to be a huge old pizza and a 12-pack of beer, right? Like there are levels to that. Like
Right. And eventually that reward could be I'm being stronger.
yeah.
I
Or yeah.
feel good.
I mean, a handful of blueberries, right? And like it when you dial in, like that stuff becomes rewarding. You don't need to reach for the 12 Oreos to like get that satisfaction. You can get satisfaction if you are the person. Liv says she likes to eat a lot of food. If you're and Trisha's like, what's your relationship with food? Are you looking for the reward? If you're the person that's looking for a reward with food and it looks really bad right now, you can slowly dial it in where you're getting your reward from good foods, or let's say maybe less bad foods.
Yeah, that what you just said just reminded me of what we preach here is CrossFit is a lifestyle. It is so not just the 7 or 6 days that you come in here to train, right? It's a whole methodology of nutrition and sleep and stress and all of these different things. It's just so much more than what happens inside the gym.
I actually recently just saw it, and Justin's comment made me think about this. And I don't know if it's true for the rest of you guys, but like I've noticed that as if my nutrition, if I actually been hitting it correctly, my cravings aren't as subtle.
Yeah.
And I saw an interesting, and I wish I could remember the entire synopsis of the video, but it was basically like if you're craving sweets, you're probably missing this in your diet. And if you're craving salt, you're missing this in your diet. And it was like there were instances of like cravings where it was actually pointing to holes in your nutrition. And I thought that was kind of interesting. I wish I could have remembered exactly what it was.
Be a lack of carbs.
Yeah.
I think it was carbs and like one. I think salty
like
was more like you weren't drinking enough water or you're missing a little bit of protein. And I was like, and I can kind of pin it throughout the day. Like with my job, I don't always get to eat when I want to eat type deal. So, and I know like if I miss my breakfast and I miss a little bit of lunch, at the end of the day, man, I am like craving all sorts of feel good food. And it's probably because of that, because I've depleted everything that I had kind of deal. So.
And I would even just add with cravings, and I don't know if it's like a craving or a habit people have created for themselves, where it's just like after dinner, that's just what we do is we have dessert. And so it's just like, then every time you have dessert, it's kind of, what is it, Pavlov's dog? It's just like you're just like so used to getting ready to have a dessert, or a treat or a drink or whatever that is. Like even to the point where it's just like I used to talk to clients about like if you can't walk into Chick-fil-A and instantly want a fried chicken sandwich and a sweet tea, like maybe we don't go to Chick-fil-A for a little bit, until you can make a healthier decision when walking into the door there. Because I think trying to learn to break those habits, even to the point of what we were just talking about, like earning your pizza. It's like that shouldn't be every day, but maybe we start with having pizza once a week. Like if we hit 5 days at the gym, we're gonna go get pizza on Saturday. And then it turns into like we get pizza once a month. So if I hit 22 classes in the month, we're gonna go get pizza on the last Saturday. So I think that you can still allow yourself to do those things, but being aware, I think, is the biggest part of how often it's happening, and not overdoing it. So trying to limit how often you're doing that is just going to help everyone move forward too.
And sometimes you don't realize how long of a chain it has been that has created those habits, right? Like some people are like, well, I've been eating dessert after dinner since I was 5 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, that is just a habit that is ingrained in them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's never felt like, not that it's a problem, but like that is a habit that has been going on for a really long time. And that can move the needle if we like eliminate that or just bring that down a little bit, find a healthier snack to
I
have.
was just gonna say that it's like, hey, it doesn't have to be ice cream. It could be like blueberries and a little bit of whipped cream.
There's definitely ways to like move the needle forward still, but it's just interesting because it really is such a chain
Mm-hmm.
like of events that happen throughout life.
There's a really good episode of The Office too, where Jim trains Dwight with the Tic Tacs on a belt. You should watch it. It's pretty good. Yeah, made me think of that.
Like for me, the habit thing that's frustrating is those bad habits, especially at night. The sweet, something sweet before I go to bed after dinner, like builds fast. I do it 2 nights in a row, and it's like I'm like salivating.
Yeah.
And we recently I just like went through and got rid of all the junk, and it's like, oh great, all I have is dried mangoes, and it's like, but I still like I'm finding something sweet, and so I think the easiest way to not have ice cream after dinner every night is to not have it in your house.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like you could still go drive and buy it for sure. Like don't get me wrong, that's not the number. It's not going to fix the issue, but it's going to make it a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. I had recently come upon something that was like, if it's in your house, it's going to be eaten at some point,
Mm-hmm.
right? It doesn't matter if it's every night, but it's like if it's in the house, it's going to be eaten. So like, let's see what can we control. We can control what's in the house.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then right. So yeah, what can we control? We can control what's in the house, and if we can control what's in the house, then we feel okay giving up control a little bit when that control is gone.
Yeah.
Right? But like I've been working with some clients on like we do like a red light, yellow light, green light food list. Okay, what foods should we have in the house all the time? What foods should we have in the house sometimes? And what foods do you think do not align with your goals and we don't need them in the house? So so there's like different things. It's like, okay, those foods that like I cannot control myself around. Okay, maybe that's a red light food. Maybe I don't have it in the house. Okay, what's maybe a sweet treat that like is good, but it's not too good that I can eat one and move on. Like, okay, maybe we have that sometimes in the house. Like, there's so many different ways, to have control of what is around you, right? Okay, let's get into this. What is a diet? Define a diet.
So I actually looked this up because I wanted to get like the full like what is the definition. I think like most people think of the diet, it's like the trendy thing that people are doing, but truly the diet is the sum of food and beverage that a human or an animal eat, usually in an habitual pattern. Which I really like that definition was like I was like, man, that is perfect because it's a habitual pattern of what you're eating on a day-to-day basis.
I really like that a lot.
So and that equates to everybody. Like that, I don't know where that wouldn't fall in for people. So
I'm really glad you said that because I was like, I wanted to lean towards like a diet is not a 30-day fix.
No,
A diet is literally just the way you eat,
Mhm.
right? It's a way any human eats. whether good or bad.
Yeah, and I feel like that just kind of reminds me of a number of reels or things that I've seen on social media where it's just like we've gone so far away from our primal ancestors that when we eat healthy, that's referred to as like being on a diet versus like when we're eating highly processed foods, like that's normal. And so I think, I mean, just adding what Garrett said, it's just like a diet is what you eat. Whether that's good or bad, it's still a diet regardless. And so if you want to make that, you know, a healthier diet or a bad diet, like that's totally up to you. Whatever you're eating is still going to fall under the diet category, right?
Right.
Yeah. No matter what you're eating, it is the diet.
Yeah.
Especially if it's what you were normally eating on a day-to-day basis. Like,
I actually think it's so important and so helpful for people mentally to get out of this I'm on a diet type
Mhm.
mentality, because like when I was younger and I was 19 but also trying to focus on my health, but also my friends are going out and drinking and partying until 3 a.m. and we go to Denny's and I don't get anything, it's like, oh, she's on a crazy diet. And like I remember it finally getting to the point where I was like, I think this is like just how I eat. I was like, I don't think it's a diet anymore. Like, I
Yeah.
think that this is just like how I eat.
Mhm.
And so, like, getting to that mindset is like changing, oh, this isn't something I'm doing. This is something, this is part of who I am.
Mhm.
This is my diet.
do you identify with what you're doing? Right.
Yeah,
It's
exactly,
creating that
yeah.
identity for yourself, right? So it's, which is another good way to like, hey, I am a person that does this, right?
Mhm.
That is not that I'm doing it, I am that person, right?
Right.
Having that kind of self-talk or
Right.
affirmation, right?
Yeah, it's like with alcohol. It's like, oh, you want a beer? And it's like, oh no, I'm not drinking right now, versus like, oh no, I don't drink.
Mhm.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right? It's okay to have those values and be okay with, like, you know, at some point people stop making snarky comments because they realize, oh, that's just like what she does.
Yeah. And I mean, just to kind of add to that, because that's something that me and Justin have done, is we've cut alcohol out since I was pregnant with Charlie, which is a year and 3 months or so. And so now it's just like it doesn't even like it's not appealing to me anymore. Like we'll go out and I don't know if it's just because like we did it for so long and now I just like don't have the desire to drink, but it's just like you could do that with anything
Mm-hmm.
where it's just like when you cut something out for a certain amount of time it gets easier. And you I feel like even asking yourself why you were doing things previously, and I feel like that's something that I've kind of gone through is just like why did we like drink so much, and it's just like yeah we wanted to have fun and let loose or whatever that is, and not that we don't want to do that anymore, but it's just like I just don't think that alcohol aligns with our values and like how we're feeling right now with where we are in our lives.
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, I actually had like some similar things with, like, cutting out gluten, right? I don't think that that's for everyone, but I know that like it made me feel good and that aligned with my values more, right? And along with like not eating gluten, it also came with like these other benefits of like, oh, now like I don't really eat very many desserts because they all have gluten in them. So when ice cream comes along, I'm like, you know what? It's freaking okay because I'm saying no to every single dessert except for ice cream. So like I will eat ice cream every once in a while because of that reason. But like again,
Gluten free must be healthy.
but again, it's just like it's not about cutting things out. It's about figuring out what works for you,
Yeah.
right? Cutting out gluten worked for me, and it goes really well with my body, and my body likes that. Drinking alcohol, most people would probably really enjoy that and like that and find clarity in that. But it really is like just a giant science experiment to like, what is your diet?
Well, the other thing, it's like try not to focus on the things you can't eat. Try to focus on the things that you can eat. Right. So it's like, what are all the things that I can eat? And just look at that. Who cares what you can't eat? Because it's like you can't eat it. So why think about it? It's
Right.
like
Yeah.
eat all the things. Like focus
Right.
on like I can eat meat. I can eat cheese. I can eat that. You know, like
Right.
try to develop that repertoire and that desire to be like, oh, these are all things I get to eat. Right. Like, and they're readily available. Right. We're in Western society. You have a lot at your disposal. Right.
Yeah, and even changing that verbiage a little bit, because I think that's really important mentally for this, because I think nutrition is so mental, so much more than it is other things. But rather than being like, oh, I can't eat that, it's like, I just don't eat that. And that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And also just eating in general. You have to buy the food, then you got to eat the food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a process, right? so many opportunities
Mm.
to make good decisions or better decisions or anything like that. So this comes to my last question, and we kind of already touched on it, but like, what diet works
The diet that you can follow.
consistently? Yeah.
Boom.
I think again, just
Already here.
just going to your science experiments. I also just will add that one thing you may try might work for that moment and that time, but then your goals might change. I think that there's different routes that people can take when it comes to their nutrition, and I think people need to be open to trying new things. Even if what you've done in the past has worked but no longer is working, trying something new. What's the it's like the insanity.
Oh,
But you know, the
definition of
yeah,
insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result.
So I think that that's pretty common in the nutrition world. It's just like, well, I've done keto and I've had success with keto. I'm going to do keto, and then I do keto and I don't have any success. It's just like, well, then try something that's not keto.
Right, maybe keto's not for you.
Yeah. And I think it just nutrition needs to align with your goals, whether that is to perform well in CrossFit, whether that's to lose weight, whether that's just to be like a healthy individual. There's so many different routes that you can go.
Maybe save some money.
Yeah, to save some money for sure. And so I think a lot of that, just going back to your why and like figuring out what that's going to be for you individually too.
Absolutely.
I'd say, I mean, Trish hit it kind of right on the point. It's like the best diet or nutritional plan for you is whatever works, right? Whatever you can stay consistently with that fits your lifestyle. And I would say give yourself some flexibility. If you stumble a little bit, not a big deal. Like it's not the end of the world. Make the next choice a better one, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's trying to find those good, better opportunities. There's always better ones. There's always worse ones. It's okay. Just find the better option for you in that time frame. Yeah, I mean it's tough. Like you said, we have many opportunities to stumble. It's okay to stumble. Just get right back up and keep going. Right? It's not a big deal. Eat a little bit of chocolate at lunch. Cool. Don't eat chocolate for dinner.
Right.
You know, those types of things. We've kind of already reiterated that a bunch. Have ice cream.
Ice cream.
Gluten-free ice
Find
cream.
the balance.
Yeah. So
What's
Yeah.
the question?
What diet works?
Yeah, I think I liked the goal thing. It's obvious. I think one thing I like to say, if we're going back to the brief, full circle, I think that towards the end of the week, I like to say you can't outwork a shitty diet, and your diet doesn't need to be shitty, right? So if you like, I live to eat meat, like rip it off the bone is even better. So it would be miserable for me to be a vegetarian, right? And like I also my stomach like doesn't do great with leafy greens. So in my nutrition exploration, I've like meat and fruit satisfy me, they make me happy, they get me excited, and um they they're good for my body. Like my body reacts to that well. But I couldn't agree more. You have to know your goals first, right? There's so much different options when it comes to nutrition and a lot of opinions and BS. And someone might be saying something that worked for them because they were headed in this direction, but you might be headed in a different direction.
Absolutely.
So it's like, I think that we've said it a number of times, but be willing to try new things, be willing to be the experiment. Like personally, after DCC, there was like a kind of a break in months of we were had a newborn baby at home. I wasn't really training for anything. I noticed that my nutrition was getting pretty sloppy around the holidays, especially in the evening. So I decided to, I've done it before, but I decided to do intermittent fasting. So I didn't eat until 1 and I'd be done about 8 or 9 at night. And that leaned me out like quite a bit as a calorie restriction. I mean, my dinners got pretty reckless because I was eating 2 meals, and I've like at the time I felt like I could kind of eat whatever I wanted. So I needed to go away for that for one one of two reasons. One, I felt like it got pretty reckless and sloppy, and two, my goals changed. I wanted to start eating more, specifically protein, and carb load my training so I could get ready for the open. So like my goals shifted. But like Garrett said, like maybe it's saving money. Like when we had the newborn there and I wasn't newborn at home and I wasn't eating breakfast, like we were spending much less money on food because I wasn't eating it. And it's not, I don't recommend that. Like if that was a,
I was more so going on not eating out as much.
yeah,
Save some
I'm
money
not,
that way.
well, yeah, I
Yeah.
try to restrict that as much as I can.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't say that's a good budget advice. But it was one thing that I left the house, would come to the gym with water and coffee, and for me, it was like the amount of stress that it takes to get lunch and or breakfast and pre-workout and post-workout and lunch all packed and ready to go every day. Like to take that off my plate when we had new things on our plate was really nice. So there's so many different ways to do it that you don't have to be miserable when it comes to your nutrition.
Yeah, absolutely.
I would say kind of like if you wanted to really simplify it and break it down to kind of what Justin just said, find foods that you enjoy to eat, find a sustainable way to cook and prepare them, and eat them in quantities and qualities that sustain what you want, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that is your diet,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah. Is there anything else you guys want to say on this?
I just think we talked about it briefly, but we haven't talked that it is the foundation of CrossFit.
Yeah.
Sits at the base of the pyramid for the development of an athlete. Nutrition comes first. It also starts the 100 words of fitness. And CrossFitters, we believe you should eat meat and vegetables, nuts and seeds, some fruit, low starch, no sugar. And as Garrett said, keep intake levels to that which support exercise, but not body fat. So eat good foods, enough to support what you're doing. And I think a truth that I like to say, I don't know if it's in this message of the week or another, but Greg, the founder of CrossFit, would often say this: if you're not working on your nutrition, if you're not doing those things, being vegetables and seeds, some little starch, no sugar, you're not doing CrossFit. You might be running and deadlifting and thruster and pull ups and like exercising like a CrossFitter, but if you're not living it, you're missing a huge piece.
Yeah, for sure. I
Absolutely.
totally agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. To close it out, I think it's important that you do give yourself grace on nutrition because it is a lifelong journey. But I also think it's really important to emphasize to hold yourself accountable and be honest with yourself in these situations and in these opportunities that you have. And just remember, everybody, that you cannot outwork a shitty diet.